All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here talking about real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. So, Michael Anthony documents the competition back in the day between Van Halen and David Lee Roth. And I think all of us kind of knew that was going on. But apparently, these guys might have been a little paranoid because Dave had put together such a great band, and Michael Anthony is talking about it. He's out there doing interviews because, again, you've got the Sammy Hagar version of Van Halen, you could say, going out on the road and playing a lot of Van Halen, both old stuff from the Roth era and the more recent stuff, which isn't really that recent anymore from the Hagar era. Before I get going talking about this, we've got A Never Ending John's Dream, Coming Back to Paradise. Not like anything else you've heard before. There are elements of bands like Yes and Asia and Saga and maybe some Rush in there as well. But this has its own vibe. This is a band from Barcelona. And you don't hear about bands from Barcelona too often. So, anyway, I'm promoting it. I like it. Hopefully, you'll like it too. If not, no foul, no harm. You can go listen to it and then maybe order a copy from Pride and Joy Music. That's a really decent record label. They put out a lot of good stuff. And this year, they've been doing great. I've got a bunch of stuff that I had shipped all the way from Germany just so I could do this in a video. Here it is. Here it is. It's better than me just, I know, some people say to me, why don't you just play the songs? And I go, well, there's a little copyright issue there. So I can't, I know other people don't care about copyright issues or they're doing revenue sharing or something like that with the artist. I don't know. I just would assume you could go listen to it from start to finish rather than me playing a snippet. Anyway, during a recent interview, Michael Anthony was asked what he thought about David Lee Roth and his first solo album called Eat 'Em and Smile. Now, Dave had an EP out prior to that with Just a Gigolo and California Girls. So this was his first full-length album, and he had Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai. And then he had Greg Bissonette playing drums. Greg is an absolute beast. So you've got all of these great musicians, including Roth. And Dave liked to write songs and then feed them over to probably, most likely, Ed. And Ed would make a melody out of it. And maybe Roth would have a suggestion. But Roth wasn't the big musical talent in the band per se. He was more of a writer, a thinker. He reads a lot of books and so forth. So, as you know, Dave is kind of a stream of consciousness guy. So anyway, Michael Anthony says, yeah, that's a great album. I mean, I'm friends with Billy and Steve. Obviously, they're both great players. It was great. But my first thoughts were, is Dave trying to put together a band to kick our ass? And I would say he probably was for whatever reason, even though it was his idea to leave Van Halen in the first place. And Dave did catch lightning in a bottle for a couple of albums, and then the industry started to change. And for whatever reason, the record label wasn't big on Roth. I think by the third album, they were just like, yeah, whatever. And I think that was 91. And that's sad because there's good material even in the 90s. I mean, Roth had 2 or 3 albums on a major record label, which I think was still Warner Brothers at the time, and they did nothing to promote those albums. I was there. They did zilch, and there's a lot of good material there. But again, programmers, they were putting on all the grunge crap, and David Lee Roth was cheesy and goofy, and this was what the rebellion was about. We're not going to be like that anymore. We're not going to watch MTV to see goofy videos with David Lee Roth and, California Girls. If you go and watch that, it's just such a goofy, campy video. But that's what Roth is all about. He's a showman, and he happens to be a pretty good lead singer, at least back in the old days. Today, yeah, I think Sammy is held up a little better than Dave, and most people will tell you Sammy's voice is better than Dave's, but a lot of people will say, but Dave, he's the ultimate showman. And so that's why I like Dave better. Uh, Personally, I like Sammy better because Dave is just too weird. Um, anyway, Michael Anthony goes on to say that the album was good. The playing was great, and those guys were all great. And on top of that, it was Dave just being Dave. So he's kind of signing off on the idea that Roth is better when he's just being his crazy self, which I guess is true to some extent. Anyway, folks, competition, absolutely, because then Van Halen comes out with OU812. Eat 'em and smile. OU812. Would have been great if they just kept going back and forth like that. But I think they were probably like, you know what? We don't need to help Dave. And Dave isn't really doing anything back. If Dave had come out with an album after that that said, yeah, mine was delicious or something like that, then who knows? It could have gone on forever. So anyway, slow news day in the world of rock, classic rock, whatever you want to call it, unless it's Taylor Swift, which apparently Taylor Swift is rock now. I didn't know that, but Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley have confirmed that. One more time on a never-ending John's Dream, Coming Back to Paradise. Again, this channel is being shadow banned, throttled backward, however you want to phrase it. I have close to 80,000 subscribers, and I'm struggling to get to like 1,200 views on a video. In the old days, I would have been jumping up and down for 1,200 views. That's when I had like 8,000 subscribers. I would have been like, yes, that's good. You did good today, Dave. Now it's like, you know, all these subs, and I need folks to watch the videos. I'm not upset because I know people probably aren't getting notifications. If you do subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that little drop down where you ask if you want all notifications on videos, because that might help the situation. I do have patrons that tell me that they don't know when I've done a video, so they don't watch. And the patrons will talk to me about subjects that I've already covered, and I'll say, you didn't see that video I just did about this? And they'll be like, no, let me go and catch up on the videos. Also, Patreon is a great way to support the channel. I have interactions with patrons pretty much 24 hours a day. I don't get to the comments always quickly, but I do talk to everybody that I can when I'm able to do that. Also, you've got YouTube memberships. YouTube members get early watching privileges, which in most cases isn't a benefit because who wants to see this first? But yeah, if you want to see the video a little bit before everyone else, in some cases, it can be way before. There are a couple of times where I've put a video out like 12 hours or 24 hours later, and the patrons were watching, the YouTube members were watching early. So is that good? It could be if you really like seeing these things right away. Also, buy me a coffee, which has been great. Okay, buy me a coffee, probably one of the best ways to support the channel. It's a one-time donation thing. You can come back and do it again, but the point is, if you don't want to be signed up monthly, you can do that over there. Say you have this big inheritance that you just got and you want to split it with me, buy me a coffee. That's a good way of, you'll be buying me like 1,000 coffees or something like that. So I don't expect that, but you know, if there's a wealthy donor out there at this point, I know the shadow banning is happening. My other channel got blocked for a week because I posted medical misinformation over there. Yeah. Or stuff that they just didn't want it to get out there, even though it came from a doctor. So, you know, you can't trust doctors. You should just trust the news media. Doctors don't know anything. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. God bless everyone. Please pray for peace in the Middle East and around the world and in our own country and in your own heart. I believe Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no man gets to the Father except through Jesus. So again, I know that's controversial, but that's my video. I'm done.